Enter with a happy heart. May all who enter as a guest and leave as a friend. I happily invite Ms. S.P. Anita, Assistant Professor, Department of Commerce, to deliver and welcome address and introduce our chief guest.
Every sunrise gives you a new beginning and new ending. Let this be a new beginning for better relationship. A very good afternoon and warm greeting to one and all present here. I feel great pleasure to address you all on the auspicious occasion. We have a department organizing a wonderful webinar on business intelligence. I am very delightful to greet our chief guest, Mrs. Malathi Sriram, Associate Professor, Information Technology, Sri Dharmasthala Manjunadeshwara Institute of Management Development, Mysore. I extend my warm welcome to our beloved Principal, Sir, Dr. K. Ramamurthy Sir, and department heads, Dr. Sulekha Ma'am and Merlin Usha Ma'am, members and beloved students. It's my immense pleasure to introduce our chief guest, Ms. Malathi Sriram. She has completed her MPhil degree, pursuing PhD from University of Mysore in the area of massive open online courses. At first, a MPhil degree from Bharathidasan University, Tiruchirappalli, and master degree in computer application from Indira Gandhi National Open University. She was a first-class graduate in science from Karnataka University, Dawat, and she completed successfully a 6-month certificate course in computing from the Indira Gandhi National Open University with a first class and postgraduate diploma in systems. She had a combined experience of more than 30 years in information technology, both in industry and academics. Till April 22, she was working as an associate professor in the area of information technology at Sri Dharmasthala Manjunadeshwara Institute for Management Development, Mysore. STM IMD has been rated one of the top 40B schools of India. She is a faculty facilitator and designer for various courses. She handled courses at IMT Nagpur, BIM Bangalore, Campus Bangalore. She held various administrative responsibilities as PGDM chairperson, in charge of internship program, management development program, etc. She has published more number of papers in national and international journals and conferences. Once again, I welcome you all and I wish everyone to have an enlightenment session.
Thank you. Thank you for the kind introduction, madam.
Thank you, ma'am. Anyone can make you happy by doing something special, but only someone special can make you happy without doing anything. I would like proudly welcome Ms. Malathi Sriram, Associate Professor, Information Technology, Sri Dharmasthala Manjeshwara Institution of Management Development, Mysore.
Thank you. Thank you for the kind introduction. May I start?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. Okay. Dr. Sulekha ma'am is here. Okay.
Sulekha madam.
Sulekha madam, just wanted to tell her thank you because she coordinated the whole thing, bringing me to this platform and coordinating with me. So thank you to her, sir, and thank you, of course, to you, without whom this would not have been possible. But I am just to start with the talk. I am at a disadvantageous time. Usually everybody having lunch and probably the time when everybody says that, okay, this is when we would like to doze off and how do I keep them awake is generally a challenge that any teacher would face. So first and foremost, I am a teacher, then a speaker here. The other disadvantage probably which I have is not being, let us say, able to bring in probably something new, right? So what I would suggest is at any point in time during my talk here, if at all I can call it like that, because I would want most of you to be interactive, and I am presuming that I am addressing a gathering of faculty come students, right? So let me share the screen here before I start with my presentation. So I hope all of you are able to see the screen. Let me put it on the screen show mode. Right. I always usually think of, because I've been teaching information systems and I've also been in the industry from the past, I would say 30 years, a combination of industry and academics. And in a way, I would say I have seen both sides, in the sense that kind of, I would say, era where computers were totally new, and we used to struggle to get an email sent, and the way it used to get connected. And now today we are talking of something which is as sophisticated as business intelligence, right? And since the conference is on business intelligence, right, I would want to presume, or I would take the liberty to presume, that most of the people who are here in this group already have a fair idea of what business intelligence is all about. So I would want one of the students, if they can, because I can't help asking one of you, what do you think is business intelligence? One of you, if you have the option of unmuting yourself. So shall I presume that none of you know what actually business intelligence is all about, or is it basically because you wouldn't want to answer? Okay, so let me go ahead and talk about one or two things which I recollect, because like I said, I basically come from two different eras. What generally we would call you, the younger generation, as the digital natives, whereas we, or I should say, from the older generation, am I a digital immigrant? Right. So when I say immigrant, I was new to this particular digital era, and to get onto this particular platform, or to the information system era, I won't say it was a struggle, but had to learn quite a number of things, right? So one of the things that I was learning when I was in the industry in the year 2001, 2002, I mean, I'll come to what I'm talking about in terms of business intelligence, right? Was one of my friends who had got engaged recently, had gone on site on an assignment, and he wanted to send flowers to his fiancée who was here in Mysore as a surprise to her on her birthday, right? And what do you think he did? He called me and he said, can you buy flowers for her and then, deliver it, which I did, right? Cut to today, right? Uh, During COVID, just a couple of years ago when the COVID started, right? A team of people were able to finish their assignment earlier than the deadline, right? And each team member who were remotely located were promised a goodie by the team manager, saying that if you finish it before the deadline, right, you would be getting this goodie. And lo and behold, the goodie was there at their doorstep, at their homes, right? Because they were able to, manage the deadline well before the time that was scheduled, right? So contrast these two different, situations where somebody had to tell somebody else to deliver, whereas today we are talking of a platform, right, where everything, I would say, in a way is or can be managed by a click of a button using the internet, right? And somewhere behind this is the business intelligence that we are talking of, right? And uh, today I'm going to be sharing with you a few aspects of business intelligence. Like I said, probably you would have heard of this. Probably the other speakers have already talked about it. But I'm going to be giving my perspective and my understanding of what business intelligence is. Not that it's going to be very much different from what generally is the whole thing about. So what I'm going to be taking you through is we'll see some glimpses of what business intelligence is all about and what is business intelligence, how organizations use business intelligence, right, and how have they benefited. I'll take you through small caselets here where the companies would be using business intelligence. How is business intelligence put into implementation? How do you actually implement business intelligence in an organization? Most of the time we talk about business intelligence in the same breath as business analytics, right? So are they one and the same? Yes and no. The answer is yes and no, because that is something that I would like to talk about. Lastly, since we are talking of what are those applications or tools in business intelligence used for business intelligence, I'll be just taking you through a couple of tools. I hope you will be able to help me in reaching out to, or I would say getting me to know more about these specific tools, right? So typically a picture of a business intelligence, when we talk about this, we talk of a dashboard. And I've picked this up from a company, which is a German company. So you can see the currency there, which is the German currency or the euro that you see there. Okay. And this is how generally a dashboard looks like, right? And what do you think this dashboard is actually giving you? I will just put the sharing off so that I can wait for your response. So what does this dashboard actually show? Or why is it called as a dashboard? Yeah. So should I wait for your answer, or should I, how do you want this to go? So shall I call out a name? Probably they will be able to answer me. Yeah. So Rashna, can you tell me what a dashboard is? Because I can see your name here. Yeah. Okay. I'm waiting for you. Okay. So a dashboard, you say, is okay. What it is showing is business growth and customer acquisition. But what is a dashboard? That is what it is showing. Correct, Sonu? What you're saying is right. Somebody else? So this term dashboard, I'm sure you would be knowing this, is associated with typically a vehicle, correct? A vehicle which has a dashboard showing or indicating the fuel gauge, indicating the revolutions per minute, indicating the speed at which your vehicle is going, and what is the highest speed at which the vehicle can go, how many gears, so on and so forth. So a dashboard typically gives you the status of the vehicle that you're driving. I mean, the terminology dashboard is picked up from automobiles, right? So we're talking of how a dashboard in a company is going to give the health status, the financial health status of a company, right? Or a marketing status of the company, or the sales status of the company, which is what, like Sonam said, now that is what this particular dashboard is showing, right? There are more exciting things when we are talking of dashboards, right? So let me talk about what could be the other things. I'm just going to take you, let me know if you can't see the screen. Can you see the website here? Yeah. Please let me know if you can see the website. one of you can just say yes, so that I'm sure that we are looking at the website, all of you. Yeah, thank you, Dr. Amit. Right. So when we look at this particular website, just see how exciting it is to see such a visualization of data. That is one of the things that probably I'll mention later, right? The visualization of data in terms of how it can make people understand who are looking at it, make a better decision, because that is how it will help a decision maker to drive strategies in a company. Like somebody said, the business growth. Okay, so we have various ways in which we could be bringing in more sort of understanding in the way the data is going to be presented, right? So I'm going back to the slide here. Okay, I hope you are able to see this, the slide. Okay, so what actually is business intelligence? So we just saw probably the end product of business intelligence, where we could intelligently make out how businesses actually grow, how businesses can be grown, what are the strategies that the company can take for its business to grow. And that is what we had as the dashboard there, right? So what actually is business intelligence then? Like I said, we saw the last part of the output of the business intelligence. So what does actually, or what is actually business intelligence? Okay, so business intelligence here, as you should be knowing, is a set of tools, systems, frameworks, techniques that are going to be put together so that intelligence is provided to those business organizations that can actually, like I said, take strategic decisions. And why do you think organizations need to take strategic decisions? Because they need to be in the competition. They need to be in the business environment, which is dynamic, which is changing ever, right? You see that some product comes today, there is a competitor who has a better product, who imitates, right? So generally, what I'm talking of is companies need to innovate or they perish. And how does business intelligence come into picture? What do we mean when we say companies have to innovate? Companies which are in products, right, or which are in services, companies which give services, companies which make products or manufacture products, they continuously need to innovate their products or services, right? So one example that I can give in these two different segments that I have mentioned here, products, right? The most accelerating innovation that happens in products, I would say, is in the electronics industry, right? You have an iPhone 10, which has come probably 8 months back or 10 months back. And today you have an iPhone, I'm not very sure, 12S, because even I may be wrong. For all you know, there would be another version of iPhone which is available in the market. So if you really look at these different kinds of products, since I'm specifically talking of electronics, there are newer features which are added. There are newer applications or apps that are provided to the customers. And how does organization know, or how do they know that these are the things that needs to be put into the product? That's basically because they act on the intelligence that they have gathered over a period of time from their customers, from their competitors, because you need to have your ear on the ground to listen to them as to understanding what is the requirement. So the ever changing, innovating products, right, is the outcome of business intelligence, right? If we are talking of the other part of it, right, the services part of it, how do we bring in new services? I just mentioned now, right, my friend who got engaged before he went on an on-site assignment. I rendered a service, probably, right? I would say that's because of the friendship, but then that was a service which is totally automated today. I can order from a Swiggy an ice cream, I can order any food or any product for that matter. That's a service that is being provided. I can, take a cab having an app, right? And how does this all work? Because organizations have business intelligence. So coming back to what I said, business intelligence does not happen overnight in an organization, right? It's a process, right? It's a process within the organization where the organization over a period of time has collected a big amount of data, what we call in general terms today as big data, right? And when we talk of big data, or when I talk of the large amounts of data that the organization over a period of time has collected, right? It is collecting data because it has to make an informed decision, right? That is to say whether this is the decision which will fetch profit for its company, or would it be some other thing based on the data or based on the information that the company has that is going to profit the company, right? Now, right, having said this, let us understand as to why we are talking about, putting together the data, and from where does this data come, right? Uh, where does this data come from? Most of the time I said it comes from the students. Can I say that? Okay. Where does this come from? The companies that collect data, where does this come from? Let me name a type of company here, right? The easiest one. Let us say we are talking of a e-commerce company like Amazon, right? Okay. And where does the data come from, right? Of course, data is raw details. That's right. Okay. But where does this data come from? Before I go on to tell you, I already given you a huge hint, as in the e-commerce, right? Website. Yes, Sonam, perfectly right. Okay, I'll just go into a specific thing there. So when we say we collect data, data generally is raw data, which like what earlier I think Venkat Subramaniam was talking about. We're talking of data which can be structured or unstructured, right? Data is structured or unstructured. What do we mean by structured data? Structured data is one which you can put in a particular manner, which you can structure it, which you can codify it. So it's all similar, or it has a template, right? For example, the student attendance, there's a template for it. The employee details, there is a template for it, right? So it's structured. On the other hand, if we are looking at unstructured data, we are talking of data which is going to be something as a video, an audio, a picture, right? Or it may be a mashup of so many other applications, and that would be the unstructured data that we are talking of, right? And most of the time, the unstructured data comes from UGC, not the university's grant commission. It is the user generated content, right? The user is the one which generates this content for the unstructured data 90% of the time. That's why I mentioned, I gave you a huge hint. That was the e-commerce, right? So you have an Amazon, you have a Flipkart, you have Alibaba, if you have access to it, or a Myntra, or any of these websites that we are talking of, either on your mobile phone as an app, or you get onto a laptop and use their website. You are the one who is generating the content, right? Because you provide the details to them, you buy things for them, and when you buy things from them, you're going to be looking at providing the, or choosing the products, how many you're going to buy, what you're going to buy, who is going to be your payment processor, so on and so forth, right? So I would say, when we are looking at data, data comes from different sources, right? Data is of two types generally in the context of business intelligence, right? One, structured data, which from a number of years organizations have been collecting, but today we add on the unstructured data, like I said, which is made up of pictures, audio, video, any other thing which is not generally text and numbers, right? And all these, 90% of these, I repeat, is generated by the users on websites, which can be social media websites, which would be social networking websites, which could be e-commerce websites, it could be blogs, or it could be any other cloud software that you are using as an end user in a company, right? So all this, if you have to manage, and why do we need to manage this? Because we are looking at intelligence from this, right? We need to harness, or we need to carve out the intelligence from this data that is being created by us, right? Or it is procured from some other place, which generally, if you are looking at an organization, is the customers, right? So again, coming back to BI or business intelligence, it's not one single specific tool. I earlier mentioned it is a number of things that needs to be brought together for the intelligence to be created, for the organization to take a decision, the right decision on the basis of the intelligence that has been provided, right? So you will have, as an organization, you or we will have a set of hardware, a set of software applications and techniques. And if you're looking at what I'm listing down here, these are nothing but basically the components of information system, right? Any information system in an organization, the primary objective is to provide information. But what kind of information depends on what kind of I would say decisions, or what kind of I would say the business that the organization is into. So how do you bring this all together, in the sense that if I'm too technical, please let me know, because I see that the other speakers were more into explaining what the things were related to business intelligence. Like I said, please stop me at any point in time if you're not able to follow what I'm saying, right? Okay. So here we are talking of what I should say as the data which comes from various sources. And I have already mentioned what these sources are. Once you put them all together, you generally would be looking to discover patterns, right? And what do we mean when we are looking at patterns? I think somebody already said it would be data analysis and interpretation, right? But what do you mean by discovering patterns, right? Let me introduce you to a much used phrase here when we are talking of business intelligence. Have you ever heard of something called as a market basket analysis? Let me talk about what a market basket analysis is all about, right? In the, I think in 2000, mid 2000, in the US, or a little earlier than that, right? There are huge, supermarkets or hypermarkets like what we have now here. We have the Lulu hypermarket in Kerala, or we have other hypermarkets which sell anything to anything, right? Okay. And in the US too, this is something which is a regular affair. So what is this market basket analysis, and how does this relate to what I'm trying to tell you in terms of the business intelligence? So the supermarkets in the weekends, or during the weekends, right, found that there was a pattern in which the things were being pulled off the shelves, right? So on the weekends, people used to buy a large amount of beer, crates of beer. They also used to buy baby diapers, right? This was something that they discovered. This was a pattern that they discovered, right? When they brought all the data together, of course, at that point in time, it was a little manual and a little bit of use of tools, but they discovered the pattern. And what was the reason? The reason was that weekends, people wanted to drink and frolic and have fun and not get out of the house, and families who had small children, right? They didn't want to go out to buy those baby diapers, right? So they wanted to be at home and enjoy. I mean, that's of course the American culture that I'm talking of. So these supermarkets, especially Walmart, that's the case study that I'm talking of, made a discovery in this pattern. And what decision did they take? Of course, they discovered the pattern, right? They interpreted the data there, right? And what is it that they took as a decision, right? These supermarkets are, more than 6,000 square feet. So walking around them itself would be a good exercise to anyone who wants to keep themselves fit, right? So why I'm saying this, because the positioning of the beer crates was one end, and the positioning of the baby diapers was at the other end. That means people who buy this and buy that had to walk a lot, right? And one of the decisions that these people took was to place the baby diapers next to the beer crates, right? Which made the customers job easier to pick up the things that they needed to pick up in the weekend, right? So this generally was, the way in which business intelligence was used. So you bring all the data together, you find out if there are any patterns, you discover them, right? And then you interpret the data to take those decisions that I mentioned now, right? So here we are talking of, right? Let me go to the next slide, right? So I would like to, not conclude actually, but give you the final aspect about what business intelligence is all about. It's actually an umbrella term, right? You cannot say business intelligence is this, right? So if some company has to discover patterns, it has to collect data over a period of time, right? If something has to be taken as a decision, remember there has to be a number of options given to the decision maker to choose from one of those options, right? So there are a number of things which happen in the background for the business intelligence to exist. In fact, to let you on to a historical, trivia, if I can say, business intelligence was used by a company. I'm sure you would have heard of this company named Lloyd Finance. Have you heard of Lloyd Finance? I'm sure you would have, right? This is one of the, of course, now it doesn't exist in the form that I am talking of, in the sense it doesn't do the kind of business that it used to do earlier on, right? So Lloyd Finance was actually, what we call as a I'll give you a small story, because I thought it makes sense, like how people actually were making use of business intelligence some 100 years ago, and how sophisticated it has become in the times that we are talking, in the information era or the knowledge era that we are talking of now, or the analytics era that we are talking of now. So let me give you that small story, right? And I'm usually, I like to talk about something like this, right? Okay, so Lloyd Finance started in London, and it was a underwriter company. And underwriter is nothing but an insurance company, right? Where you say that, okay, this is the these are the set of goods that you are sending, and it's going to be insured for this. And if you lose that particular thing, I mean, it is simple. Then the company to whom you have paid the money is going to pay you the money for having lost those goods. And 100 years ago, right, there were a lot of ships that sailed from the Cape of Good Hope to come to the borders of the Middle East, India, and all that, right? And in London, there were a set of underwriters, that is a set of insurers, who said that, okay, we will insure your goods. So the ships which sails, if it is caught in the storm or the hurricane and all that, then we are going to take care of paying you back whatever. Whatever the cost is, right? So this became a flourishing business for the underwriters. Of course, there were, ups and downs. They had to pay, people a lot of money also. But then they discovered a pattern. The underwriters or the insurance company discovered a pattern where they said, okay, these are the kind of ships which actually get stuck in a hurricane. These are the kind of ships which do not. These are the kind of goods which perish. And these are the kind of goods which do not perish. So on the basis of that, I mean, this is a pattern that they discovered. And on the basis of this, they actually underwrote the value of the goods. So today we talk of business intelligence. I mean, that makes me come to the end of the story. But then that is where business intelligence actually started in my understanding, right? So we're talking of business intelligence as an umbrella term where we say, like I said earlier, a set of tools, frameworks, systems that help a company to make data actionable. So, the company, in fact, some of the companies are sitting on huge or big data without knowing how to capitalize it, right? How to, let me use this word, which is very commonly used. In fact, HSBC is doing a lot of work. There are so many other banks also which are doing that. What we call as data monetization, right? Data monetization. What do we mean by that? This huge amount of data that the company has collected. How do you actually, make money out of it? How do you say that this data is a resource from which I can, as an organization, generate some revenue, right? Let me slightly deviate from what I'm talking now, right? When I say data monetization, piles of data, customer data, can be sold to some other company for them to make telemarketing calls, right? So company A, which has customer data, sells it to company B. B is going to utilize that customer data for telemarketing purposes. Naturally, right, the kind of monetization that I'm talking of is going to be totally legal, right? Especially not in India, because in India we don't bother at all about data privacy and all that, although the government is doing something. But outside of India, right, we're talking of something like data privacy and people, not actually letting their data go in the hands of wrong people, right? Yeah, data security and privacy, exactly right, sir. Right? So how does this monetization happen, right? Like I said, I'm slightly deviating. Many of us, when we go to websites, right, if something has to be downloaded, probably the website is going to ask your email ID, it's going to ask you your phone number, if not everything, at least your email ID and a certain other things. And in all innocence, we type in everything. Of course, the website may be, for all you know, a legitimate website. And when it comes to the end of saying submit and providing our data to the website, okay, we say there's one small thing, accept the terms and conditions, right? And without having a second thought, we check the button and then submit, which means we have legally accepted to share our private data, our name, our email ID, our phone number with the website. And the website also states that all its sister websites or sister concerns is going to use your data, which means if I'm on Facebook, then I'm on Instagram. If I'm on Instagram, then I'm on WhatsApp, because all of them are the same company. Maybe different, the parent company is the same, but maybe the smaller companies, the subsidiaries are different, right? So let me come back to, I digressed from saying that how, data which a company collects, a pile of data that the company collects, how can it be made actionable? How can it be made monetized, right? How do you make money from it? So making money directly, like what I said, selling the data, or can you discover patterns in this data from which your company can profit by taking certain decisions based on this? That is business intelligence, right? And what else is business intelligence? When we say business intelligence, I earlier on had talked about, people talk about business intelligence and business analytics in the same breath. Is business intelligence the same as business analytics? To a certain extent, yes. The line between these two is blurring. Most of the time we talk of BA and BI as a synonymous thing, right? Although strictly speaking, technically, since I'm a technology person, right, I would say there is some difference. Okay, so with business analytics, you combine data mining, data visualization. I know big terms that I'm using here, but let me talk about spend a little time about making you understand what data mining is all about. Or if one of you can, Sonam, if you can tell me, or Venkat Subramaniam sir, I don't know. Because I need to take a breath. Right. So when we talk of data mining, right, just like the ore mining or the mineral mining, right, from a mound of this thing, extraction of data, I should say, right. Data mining is mine the data from the huge voluminous data or the big data that is present. So data mining, let me tell you, is part of business intelligence, right? On the other hand, there are certain companies which do only data mining, right? They do not do anything else. Yes, taking out useful data depending on what is required by the decision maker. You're exactly right, Sonam, right? Thank you. And how does this happen? I mean, can we go through the huge volume of data, which is probably structured data or unstructured data? Then it is better that the data is visualized, which gives a easier picture, right? The simplest of data visualization is a bar chart, right, where you see that the sales in one month is high, in another month it is low, right? So like they say, a picture speaks 1,000 words, right? So data visualization is one of the most, I just went to a clip info website where you saw how the visualization of data is really a pleasure to look at, and also probably also for the managers to take a decision on that, right? So you have different data tools, infrastructure, which make business intelligence as a system. Also, when you have so much of data, you need to put a context to it. Is it sales data, or is it finance data, or is it HR data? One of my students actually is into HR analytics, where she's looking at putting together what could be the kind of training, right? What could be the kind of, let us say compensation management, or the kind of performance rewards that can be given, right? So you contextualize the data, because an organization has big data, it has voluminous data, then you put it in those contexts, right? Let me relate this to a term which you may have heard earlier, right? When you contextualize raw data and give them some meaningful information, you're actually creating data marts, right? You're actually creating data marts. I'll come to that a little later, although I do not have that on the slide, right? But I'll spend a minute or two later, right? So business intelligence is also to have a comprehensive view of the data that the organization has, right? And also if there are any inefficiencies, right? I'll give you small examples also, right? What could be these inefficiencies that we are talking of, which a business intelligence system can actually solve, right? And a company which has this information from the BI tools can actually, dynamically shift their strategies so that they can make quick changes to the way that they are operating in the market. Right? So yes, so what is business intelligence? Like I said, I would like to conclude. I had 3 slides talking about what is business intelligence. So finally, business intelligence is basically to help organizations take the decisions, right? So like I said, I would be talking about a few things, right? Related to business intelligence and how it has helped companies. For example, a few of them, the companies that I'm going to be talking about is in India, in fact, right? Some of them, of course, are outside of India. Less said that Indian companies are, new users of BI. In fact, Tata Motors, right, was one of the first company in India which used business intelligence, and which also used the other part of it, which was knowledge management, right? So maybe in some other session, given an opportunity, I'll talk about that. But yes, Tata Motors was one of the first companies to do it. But The example or the case that I'm talking of here is a South Korean company, a company website in South Korea, which had 1 million visitors, but then it could not convert these visitors into customers, right? It could not convert these visitors into customers. What do we mean by that? It basically means that people visit the website, they look at all the products, right? And they, also put them into their shopping carts. But when it comes to the final payment to be made, they do not make it, right? So it does not convert into sales. What is the reason that this happens, right? So most of the time we are looking at, companies which having their website, they make it very difficult for their customers to navigate, right? They make their, system or the user interface, right, to be, going through a number of different links, and only then finally come to the payment thing, by which time we talk of an era today which is, instant gratification, right? Okay. So here we are saying, how do we, make these users who have visited our website, right? How do we make them do away with their pain points and then, complete the sale? We're talking of another thing, which is banking website. HDFC, in fact, in India has a business intelligence running in background, right, where it promotes its products, maybe a FD or a RD, which is cross-selling, right? It also, the business intelligence also finds out any money laundering or any default payment, helping its 10-minute loan provision, right? If somebody has taken loan from HDFC, or from your phone, you can get a loan probably in 10 minutes, right? So that again is because of business intelligence, right? So you study the customer patterns, habits, promote products which could be for upselling or cross-selling. Travel and tours, business intelligence is very widely used in hospitality, right? So that you can provide better package deals for your travelers, right? Food delivery, no need to tell. I'm sure all of us have ordered one time or the other food delivery, where, you can suggest customer with certain eating preferences what you would want to do, right? Or what you would want to order. The last thing is, we're talking of the OTT. That is, what is OTT? Over the top, right? Or the platforms like Netflix, Amazon Prime, or we are looking at Hulu or whatever. I mean, now, of course, there are so many that I have not kept track of it. How does, I'm taking one example of Netflix here, right? And Netflix has a business intelligence tool which works in the background, right? So if I'm watching only rom-com kind of movies, then it will suggest to me that these are the movies which match your preference 98%. If I'm watching only crime thrillers, right, then Netflix or Amazon Prime tells me that these are the kind of movies which you will enjoy watching. How does it know? Because it has already tracked, right, me as a user in terms of the movies that I have watched, and intelligently it is suggesting to me that these are the things that you can watch in future, right? So that, I would say, is where I would like to, talk about how the organization uses different segment, different industry segment it uses. Okay, I have one question, if all of you don't mind, from Sonam, right? And she talks about, or she's asking about, how BI can help in entrepreneurial activities like starting a new business. Or okay, Sonam, there are actually, I know I'm taking time away from what I should be completing, but 1 minute I would like to answer Sonam's question, right? There are actually different websites which have a huge amount of data in terms of providing information to what you call as newbie entrepreneurs, right? And you also have VCs or angel investors, right, who would provide you, you should have an idea, but okay, you should have an idea, and they will give you the details of how you go about getting funding for this. Maybe I can take it offline a little later. Let me finish with this. So how does a corporate begin putting together a BI, right? So collect data naturally, right? Whatever data you collect from different sources, remember the unstructured, structured, social networking platforms, e-commerce, right? Whatever it might be, you collect it from all these, right? And then you prepare the data, right? How do you prepare the data? You actually will be preparing the data by eliminating the data which are not required. When I say not required, maybe they are duplicate data, maybe they are data which are not filled in at all, right? So here we are talking of the data being extracted, transformed, and loaded, right? So we're talking of ETL here, right? ETL is where we are talking of this, right? So extract, transform, and load. Where do you load it? You load it onto the data warehouse, right? Where the users, that is the developers, are actually going to create queries on the basis of the patterns that they want to discover, right? So once that happens, the users generate dashboards or reports or visualize the data by using certain tools, right? One tool that I'm going to be talking about is Tableau, right? Tableau is a tool where data can be visualized. It can be in the report form. You can create dashboards, right? The best part of it is one need not be, a statistics maverick to, go about creating these reports, okay? Naturally, the last thing would be to present this to the decision makers who are going to have their ultimate say, as in what should be done with this particular pattern discovered or the knowledge that we have discovered, and so on, right? So what actually ultimately is, uh, the whole thing that I mentioned in the previous slide? You have a data warehouse from into which you put in all the data which comes from different sources, right? You have a analytical tool, right, or a data management tool. For all you know, it could be a simple database management system, right? You also have a set of tools which we generally term as business performance management under the business intelligence, right? Which I'll give you a quick peek into, right? And the last thing is, of course, the creation of the user interface, so that interactively the decision makers can see how to look at the data that is being presented, right? So what happens in BPM is you have ad hoc queries or reports which can be generated on demand. That means it's not a routine report. For example, student attendance is a routine report, right? But the students who have not attending from the past 1 month is a on-demand report, right? So you also have what we call as OLAP, that is the online analytical processing system, which immediately you can analyze the data and quickly get into certain outcomes which the decision makers require, right? It could also be the last one. I'm deliberately skipping data visualization because I've already talked about it, right? 1 minute. And self-service is where we are talking of the, I would say, the option that is provided on the BI platform for end users who do not have any background in statistics to pick up data from the whole thing. Okay, that is from the business intelligence platform. I know I'm overshooting my time. I'm sorry, but let me finish this, right? So from BI to BA, you have BI, which is actually dealing with historical data, but business analytics is how do we use this data, right? So when we talk of how do we use this data, is it descriptive, predictive, or prescriptive? Let me quickly make you understand what descriptive is all about. Descriptive is where historically you have stored the data and you want to describe the data. For example, attendance of students have been stored from the past so many terms for the same batch, right? Now you would want to find out which student in which term, how many classes. So I'll say, okay, student A, term 1, absent 4 classes, right? Student 2 and so on. So on an average, how many students have attended more than or missed more than 4 classes? So I'm describing the data which I'm analyzing also. So you have tools for that. Predictive analysis. On the basis of the data that you already stored, you say that student A has missed 4 classes in this term. In all probability, he will miss 4 or 3 classes in the next term. He or she will miss. That's predictive. More so in a shop floor, operations management, predictive analytics plays a big role. The demand supply kind of a thing. Prescriptive is, where we talk about how the data can actually be, which is given to us, which we have found out what it is, and we know what can be done, right? Can it give us solutions also? Can the analytics or the business intelligence give us solutions also? It prescribes, just like a doctor prescribes medicines. Can it prescribe us certain solutions? That's where I said there are a number of options that are given to the decision makers, and that's the prescriptive analytics that we are talking about. So if you look at the evolution of the whole thing, that is business intelligence, right? We are talking of from raw data to the predict, act, and prescribe. That's how the analytics has matured over a period of time, right? So you sense, you respond, and then you predict and act. What are the tools? Let me finally come to the last but one slide. What are the tools that are available? So you have something like a Qlik, Sisense, Zoho, SAS, SAP, SAP, I should say, Tableau, Domo. Of course, I could add, this list is not exhaustive. I can add much, much more. What I have shown here is a comprehensive tool which will collect data, store data, analyze data, visualize data, report data. On the other hand, you could have a number of different third-party tools, one to collect data, another one to store the data, the third one to create reports. So you integrate them because all of them are third-party tools. What I've shown you here is a comprehensive integrated system which will do everything for you. Right? So thank you. Like I said, probably I've overshot my time by 3 minutes, right? So any questions, please, sir? I have time for questions. Sulekha, madam.
Madam, we will wait. We will give some 1 or 2 minutes time for the students to ask questions, madam. If there is no question, we will close, madam, please.
Yes, yes, sir. I'll wait, sir.
Yes, madam.
Hello, ma'am. Thank you so much, ma'am.
Thank you. Thank you, I should say.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am. I was unable to unmute, ma'am. That's why, ma'am. But I was in the session. The session was
Right.
Thank you so much for being connected
Yes.
with us, ma'am.
Thank
you for your time for
No
Thank
problem.
You so much.
So I'm presuming there are no questions. I hope.
Yes, madam. Yes, madam.
Right.
Okay.
Right, sir.
Madam, thank you very much, madam.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much.
Short notice, you are magnanimous to accept our invitation.
Not at all, sir. Like I said, my privilege and honor. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, madam. On one more occasion, we will have another session, madam.
Please, yes, sir.
Thank you.
Always,
madam.
always ready to help, sir.
Thank you, madam. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Sulekha, madam. Bye.
Be thankful
Thank you so
for
much, ma'am.
everything that happens in your life. That's all an experience. I would call upon Nityanandam sir, Assistant Professor, Department of Commerce, to propose oath of thanks.
Yes. A very good evening to all. On behalf of our management dignitaries, Mr. Surya Kumar sir, Chairman of ALB JKS, Ms. Jayshree Surya Kumar, Chief Executive Officer of ALB JKS, Dr. K. Ramamurthy sir, Principal, VLB JKS, Dr. Vasudevan sir, Vice Principal, VLB JKS, Priya ma'am, Academic Coordinator, VLB JKS, Dr. A. Suleka, Head of the Department BCom, Miss T. Melinusha, Head of the Department MCom, department colleagues and students, and all the participants from many places. I'm glad to be here to express my vote of thanks. It's my honor to have been asked to offer a vote of thanks on this valuable occasion of our department. I'm very hearty gratitude to all the speakers for sharing their valuable words to us on today's online conference. The honorable and respected resource persons are Dr. R. Navanitha Krishnan, sir, Professor, University of Technology and Applied Sciences, Sultanate of Oman, on very first session. Dr. Ishwarmurthy, sir, Principal and Provost, MIT Global Institute, Singapore, was in second session. Ms. Malathi Sriram, Associate Professor in Information Technology, Sri Dharmasthala Manjunatheshwara Institute of Management Development, Mysore, at present on session 3. I'm very thankful to all the entire participants as well as sponsors of this meeting. I'm sure that our college will continue to get significant provision from diverse group in the future. I take this occurrence to thank the entire committee as well as the audience from representing their valuable views. I must remark the proficient sense of gratitude and gratefulness of all our guests for sharing their words with us on their finest and intellectual management practices. All the participants of the conference, all are inspired by your valuable words and sparkling words. So I thank our honorable chief guests and the participants for taking their initiative for hosting, and also Mr. Srinivasan, Spotline Media, for technical support. It's grateful to thanks to the members of the online conference for their valuable presence at this time. Thank you all. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, and thank you all.